Before the video begins, I want to remind you that I am Italian, so I may mispronounce some words, but I will try my best. Since I started playing Roblox not so long ago, I immediately noticed some horror maps in my recommendations, like Pressure, Doors, and other weird core exploration maps. Horror is the genre that basically plays best in the game. It is one of the most appreciated types of experiences on Roblox. And for the spooky month, I will go through the history of it and explore the best horror maps. When were the first horror maps born? How did they evolve? And what is the most liked trend today? We all know Roblox was introduced in 2006, right? But did you know its origins are even older? In fact, the first inspiration for Roblox was a physics simulation program called Interactive Physics from 1988. In 1989, the company Knowledge Revolution was founded to distribute this physics simulation program. However, a few years later, the two developers sold it and started developing a little game called Goblox, later renamed Dynablox on the website. In 2004, the Roblox domain was created. The developers changed the name a few times, but now we finally have the definitive one. Many users consider Forest of Desolation by Abyss to be the first kind of a spooky map. It is described as a darkly atmospheric map, without creature or entities because at that time, users' creation and content was simple and experimental. In October 2006, for the Halloween event, Roblox staff created Haunted Mansion. The map itself isn't particularly horror-themed or scary, but the haunted house, featured here, was later used in other horror games as an inspiration. In 2007, the game received numerous updates, including more personalization options, the ability to play together, chat message reporting, and friend list. It was during these years that the first Roblox creepypasta was created. You know those creepypastas about mysterious users on various games or social networks? This is one of those. Spirit was like a ghost of a deceased Roblox player. In the same year, it published a map called Torture Chamber. Despite being very simple, it featured creepy entities on the wall and repeated scary messages while you played. This was considered by users to be the scariest map of its time. However, another user, later, admitted to have created the map to scare users, known as Roblox Spirit Killers. We can say that this was just the beginning of the horror genre on Roblox, where the first disturbing maps and creatures began to take hold. The first jump scares, made only of PNGs and creepypastas, started to emerge. In 2009, the first exploration map was created, aiming to scare players with simple jump scares and scenes of blocky blood. This map is Face Your Fears by Bobby Lader. Set in a haunted hospital, your goal is to find the exit. The charm of these maps lay in their ability to evoke fear using minimalistic design, setting the stage of the more complex horror games that will follow. Starting from 2010, several subgenres of horror maps have grown significantly, such as Cartwright maps, mazes, and survival horror. Games like A Journey Through the Haunted Mansion and Escape Detention on Friday the 13th introduced new ways to scare players. Exploration horror maps continued to evolve with titles like Fear, where players walk through an abandoned building and experience basic jump scares using Roblox models and sound. Survival horror was also improving, with users introducing zombie survival games like Zombie Tower, where you fight zombies in a high tower, earning money and progressing through the game. Build to Survive the Zombies from 2011 combined the survival and build to survive mechanics. In the same year, someone even created Area 51 with zombies attacking the player. On Reddit, I found a user asking about a map from almost 10 years ago, remembering a pentagram on the floor, a girl crying, and a loading screen with an open roof and some vines. Another user suggested Hospital Nightmare 3, a walking horror game set in a hospital, where you are the only survivor and find everyone else dead. Between 2013 and 2014, the concept of elevator horror spread and became very well known. This genre has remained popular in some games even today. Essentially, you are in an elevator that stops on various floors, and your goal is to survive the minigames. Sometimes creatures chase you, other times there is a timer, and so on. Examples of this subgenre include Horror Elevator, created in 2014, which inspired another map the following year, called the Normal Elevator. By 2016, Roblox Horror maps had significantly evolved in terms of graphics and gameplay mechanics. The introduction of better lighting, texture, and more realistic sound effects made the games much more immersive. Popular games like Identity Fraud and Survive the Night became fan favorites, offering more sophisticated gameplay, including puzzle and more realistic character models. The focus shifted towards creating a more engaging and terrifying experience for the player. In Survive the Night, you can play as a survivor, hero, or slasher. It is similar to Dead by Daylight, with heroes who help and heal survivors, while the slasher's job is to chase and kill players. This map was created in 2016, the same year as the release of DBD. Between 2018 and 2020, some games with slightly more elaborate stories were introduced, such as Camping and Isle, where you have to survive the creatures that appear at night and find a way to escape. I once tried a map when you were in a giant IKEA and had to use furniture pieces to build a night shelter to avoid being killed by the shop assistants. This map was 3008. This concept was introduced in 2019. 2020 was a standout year for Roblox maps, as the platform saw an explosion in creativity and technical advancements. With high-quality graphics, more complex storyline, innovative mechanics and subgenres, sound design for jump scares, and the beginning of the experimentation with VR maps and worlds, Roblox Horror game reached new heights. There are some maps that I haven't mentioned before. I decided to make a separate chapter dedicated to the most famous horror maps over time. The first strange map that comes to mind from 2020 is Piggy, a mix between the famous game Granny and the cartoon Peppa Pig. The monster is a creature resembling a pig that chases players for a period of time. Player can choose to play as Piggy or try to escape from it. Another well-known map is Doors. Players navigate through a haunted hotel, filled with various entities and creatures that try to stop them from reaching the end of each floor. The game features 20 different entities, each with unique mechanics and difficulty levels, requiring players to learn the pattern to proceed. In recent years, the trend of backrooms has developed, with found footage videos, creatures, and games based on this concept. Roblox is no exception, with hundreds of maps based on this theme. One of the most famous is Apeirophobia, a multiplayer horror game by Polarity Studios, where players must escape the backrooms while avoiding creatures. In 2021, The Mimic emerged as a popular survival horror game inspired by Japanese history and urban legends. It features 4 books, each with 4 chapters, and each book focuses on a different beast as the antagonist. The map is modern, detailed, and immersive. While exploring, I came across a map called Pressure. Initially, it seemed like a generic horror map with fan art as the cover. Upon trying it, I found it to be a well-done and detailed map with a good story and gameplay. It's similar to Doors, but set in an underwater monster research facility. The main goal is to retrieve the facility's main power source, while avoiding various threats and monsters. The dark atmosphere allows for both solo and multiplayer gameplay. Another intriguing game is Lightbulb, an intense psychological thriller by Zickers 1. The game features a top-down perspective where players must navigate through a maze trying to escape before being caught by an ominous presence. Staying quiet and avoiding the dark is crucial to find the exit. There are certainly other horror maps that I haven't talked about. Have you tried any other maps that are not so famous but scarier than those I talked about? We saw how horror maps have developed over the years, with various subgenres and new updates allowing more immersive experiences. The birth of storytelling in games like The Mimic has set a new standard, and the development of elevator horror maps given us popular games like Something Bad Will Happen Soon, which I enjoyed playing a lot. The evolution of storytelling has also allowed the creation of multi-layer games that seem normal on the surface but hide various secrets and disturbing lore. The fishing game genre became widespread in recent times, with some developers mixing it with horror. Examples include Dressroom Press and Fashion Diva. Scrolling through the homepage, I also found a weird map called Cheese Escape, which is like the backrooms but made of cheese, with a giant rat chasing you. Geisha, on the other hand, is inspired by Japanese myths and folklore, featuring spirits, haunted houses, and eerie settings to create a chilling atmosphere. It is a chapter game where players must investigate and face a dark and unsettling presence. The future of Roblox horror games looks incredible with the introduction of AI and virtual reality technologies. With VR support, Roblox games are becoming more immersive than ever. Players can now step into a virtual world where the game environment surrounds them, making the horror experience even more intense and realistic. Games like Dead Silence and Apeirophobia are already popular in VR, and more developers are working on these horror experiences. Generative AI is being used to create dynamic and unpredictable game environments. This means that horror games can now feature AI-driven enemies and scenarios that adapt to the player's actions, making each run unique. Roblox is also focusing on social and multiplayer features, allowing players to experience horror games with friends. What are your thoughts on these updates? Are you excited to see how Roblox games will evolve? Let me know if you liked the video and what you think about it. See you in the next video.